Once again, this will be recorded. So if you have any further questions, you can come back to it in future. So if you go to our Canvas site and click on, advising resources, I believe it's the very first module that has, this presentation. It'll have the PowerPoint and a recording of the presentation itself. And then all of the relevant links will be there too. Okay. So today's presentation will be specifically for freshman and sophomore chemistry and biochemistry majors. If you have any questions, you are welcome to put them in the chat. I will answer them at the very, very end of the presentation, which I promise does not take long. And you can either put them in the chat, or of course, unmute yourself and ask through that. So I'm really excited to help you and discuss your degree plans. So chemistry and biochemistry majors at Texas State. I want to point out that there is experimental learning, there's student involvement and research opportunities for all of our students. For the experiential learning, there are ways for you to get paid to, of course, be a major. So ways that our school offers payment. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see if I don't have the transitions. I'll fix that in a little bit. So ways that students can be paid. We have, of course, SI, so supplemental instruction. We have something new called LAs. So your professors might already be incorporating LAs instead of SI. So it's when you have learning activities inside of the lectures instead of, going to a separate presentation. So you're in lecture with the students. You don't have any, things outside of that lecture you have to do. You're just helping the students with packets. Other ways you can get paid, of course, is being a TA or an IA in our labs. So those are types of ways you can get paid for being just a chemistry and biochemistry major. We have a lot of amazing clubs that you can join. These are really good for networking and potential, career opportunities. It's a great place to ask questions with like-minded individuals. And lastly, it is not too early to think about research opportunities. So these opportunities could be at Texas State, they could be at industry companies. It could also be at different universities, but it is never too early to think about research opportunities. Okay. Here is kind of an overview of what I plan on covering during today's presentation. We're going to go over degree plans and requirements. I'm going to hint on student involvement and things you can do as a Texas State student in our department, and go over some opportunities for research and internships, because of course, like I said, it's never too early, and make sure you put them on your radar, because most importantly, there are ways to get paid for doing research. At the bottom of this, I have my email. If you have any questions that you may not feel comfortable asking me today, you are always welcome to email chemadvising@texasstate.edu, and I'll be able to answer your email and answer any questions that you have there. All right, so degree plans and requirements. Everyone has a degree plan. If you don't know where it's at, it's called a degree audit. If you go under CATSWeb and then click under academic records, you can access your degree audit and see what's going on there. So it will have your current major, your current minor, and of course, if you go make any changes, it'll update with those changes that you make. But it's important to frequently be checking your degree audit, especially, of course, before every semester, to make sure you are on track for graduation. So the College of Science and Engineering Advising Center, that is going to be in Centennial. It's on the first floor. They're the ones that help you make scheduling, and they're the ones that maintain your audit. So I am not the person who helps you figure out your schedules for every semester. You're not meeting with me for that. You're meeting with me for other reasons. But if you are looking for someone to go over your degree schedule or your spring 2025 schedule, they're the people you reach out to, and they can help you with that. If you have audit questions, or if you need to work on things you audit, they're also the person that you talk to about that. So the importance of your degree audit is it tracks your progress to graduation and specifies what courses you need for your degree program and calendar year of entry to Texas State. This is helpful for me. The first time, if you ask me a question, the first thing I'm going to do is go straight to your audit and check what's going on there. Here's an example of what your audit would look like. In the top left corner, you will put your student ID, and then once your ID is in, it'll populate everything else. So you will have your degree plans, it'll have your different degrees if you have more than one. You'll have your GPA, your classification, freshman to senior, major, minor, any attributes, and of course your catalog year, which is helpful for me. If you scroll down, you'll have your core classes followed by your major and then your minor. So if you want to see if you are on track to graduate, it'll look something like this. If you have a green check mark, it means that that course has been completed and passed and you don't need to retake it. If you have the blue little line, half semicircle, that means that either you are currently taking it, or for instance, if you start registration in the next 2 weeks, if you are registered to take it in a future semester, the second you register for that course, it also gives you the blue semicircle. So you can say, okay, well, this course is in preparation to be taken or currently being taken. If you have the red empty circle, that means these are courses that you have not yet taken. On the right-hand side, if you see like the blue course and letter, click on that and then it'll show you the degree description, or not the course description, I apologize. It'll show you what prerequisites need to be taken before you can take that course. And then if you scroll down, it'll show you what semesters that course is offered to help you create your schedule. For freshmen and sophomores, your goal for these 2 years is to complete general chemistry 1 and 2 in both their labs, and also organic chemistry 1 and 2 in both their labs. If you are chemistry major specific, you should also in these first 2 years in freshman, sophomore year, take calculus 2 and mechanics before. Quant can definitely be taken during your first 2 years. It just needs to be, you have to complete Gen Chem 2 first. I highly recommend taking quant right after you take Gen Chem 2 because it's so similar to Gen Chem 2. But you can take it at any time once you've passed Gen Chem 2. For your sophomore year, your goal is to take physical chemistry 1 in that fall. You can also take biochemistry 4375 during the fall. The goal, of course, of junior year is to take PChem 1 in the fall and PChem 2 in the spring. And these are required classes, and they are only offered during those semesters. For biochemistry majors, you definitely want to finish organic chemistry 2 before your junior year. And biochemistry can be taken in the fall. I do want to point out that we do not offer biochemistry 3375 this upcoming spring, but we do plan on offering it in future springs. But the good news is if you end up not taking it in the spring, it's okay. You're the required class for it won't be offered until the following spring anyway. Important thing to note that there is a new co-requisite for biochemistry. Previously, students had to complete organic chemistry 2 with a passing grade before they could register for biochemistry. But if you want to get a head start on your degree plan, I highly recommend, of course, you can take organic chemistry 2 lecture at the same exact time as biochemistry. That'll be helping you head start things. And that's for both 4375 and 3375. Those are both biochemistry. 4375 is for chemistry majors. 3375 is for biochemistry majors, but you can certainly take those courses at the same time as organic. This is for your last 2 years. So when I say year 1, that's your junior year, and year 2 is for your senior year. The goal, of course, is to complete organic 1 and 2, and Gen Chem 1 and 2 before you start these. And you can certainly also do biochemistry if you want to get a head start. So chemistry, junior year, physical chemistry 1 and physical chemistry 2 in lab in the spring, biochemistry in the fall, followed by biochemistry lab and analytical in the spring. For your senior year, for chemistry majors, you will have advanced lab 1, instrumental analysis, descriptive and organic chemistry in the fall, followed by advanced lab 2 in the spring. And if you are a biochemistry major, you'll take advanced biochem lab 1 in the fall with molecular, physical chemistry for biochemistry all in the fall, and then followed by advanced biochem lab in the spring. It's important to note for your degree plans that certain courses, especially these upper level courses, are only offered during these semesters. So if you end up getting off sequence at any point and you know that these courses have a specific prerequisite, please do your absolute best to get those prerequisites done before these semesters that you plan on taking it. Because unfortunately, we are very strict and we cannot waive those prerequisites. They need to be completed beforehand. But if you end up needing to take these prerequisites at different universities, for instance, biochemistry is offered at other universities over the summer, like UT. Gen Chem 1 and Gen Chem 2, Organic 1 and Organic 2 are all offered at many universities, including community colleges. So if you end up being, going home for the summer in Dallas, you can certainly take those courses over the summer and get either a head start or back on sequence, which I highly recommend. And we offer those courses at Texas State if you would prefer to take them here at Texas State. But yeah, you have options if you end up getting off sequence, and don't worry, you're not going to get far behind, and there's easy ways to catch up. These are the recommended path if for your first semester, whether that be spring or fall, you should be taking General Chemistry 1, second semester General Chemistry 2, followed by Organic Chemistry 1 your third semester, and fourth semester will be Organic Chemistry 2. Now there's a new requirement, there's a new thing you could add if you want to. You could also add biochemistry when you take Organic Chemistry 2. But if you feel like it would be too overwhelming, you might not want to do it at the same time. The good news, if you end up having already taken some courses at a different university, or maybe did dual credit during your high school, you might already be off sequence, but it's not a bad thing. You might actually be ahead. So if you are in that case, you can stay ahead by moving forward or filling your extra time in with core classes that's needed for your degree plan. But yeah, always check with your advisors, double check your degree audit, because if you take a course at a different university, we will be, analyzing it to make sure it's equivalent. And if you don't have it on your degree audit as like equivalent, you are welcome to get it checked again. If it's a chemistry or biochemistry course, you are welcome to fill out the course evaluation form. It's at texasstate.edu chemistry website. Go under forms, fill out the course evaluation, and then of course I'll be evaluating it. So if I've already evaluated, I won't reevaluate it. But if it's a new course that hasn't been evaluated yet, I can check and say, okay, you took chemistry 1 at this course, it is equivalent to our general chemistry 1, and you don't have to retake it. So that's the purpose of that. Okay. I have to highlight on this because it's unfortunate when students get off sequence, but we will never be able to waive prerequisites. If Organic Chemistry 1 is a prerequisite for Organic Chemistry 2, you have to take Organic Chemistry 1 before you can take Organic Chemistry 2. We will never override that. If you take it at a different university, I can put an override in to allow you to register for Organic Chemistry 2 or any other subsequent courses. But the prerequisite has to be met ahead of time. So if you're not going to have that prerequisite, your options, of course, are taking things over the summer, taking them at different universities, or you might have to push your degree plan back a semester. So let's do what we can now to keep you on track for graduation. Okay. These are some frequently asked questions. So you are about to register in the next 2 or 3 weeks for the spring semester, and some issues that students run into are they can't register for their desired class. One, it's important to note that a lot of labs are co-requisites of the lectures. So if you try to register for, let's say, General Chemistry 2 lab before you've registered for lecture, with the exception is if you've taken the lecture at a previous semester, that doesn't count. But if you haven't taken the lecture yet, you cannot register for the lab until you are registered for the lecture. So the order is register for the lecture, and then once you're registered for the lecture, then you can register for the lab. But that's usually a frequently asked questions as students try to go for the lab first, but not the lecture. Our labs fill up quite quickly, especially for General Chemistry 1, 2, Organic 1, and 2. But be patient. My advice is to be patient because students frequently change their schedules after the deadline. So after the final exams have been taken and the final grades are submitted, some students no longer meet the prerequisites for those spring classes. And what happens is the registrar removes those students from the registration, and it opens up a lot of spots. So usually when students are having issues getting into those classes, my only response will be, please wait, because of course students are shifting the schedules. The registrar might still be pulling students out. And then of course, if you still can't get into your lecture space, I can help you with an override, but it has to be asked closer to the beginning of the spring semester. Usually I don't handle those overrides until the week of. This is a big thing. No closed class overrides are available for labs. If EHS, our safety organization, says only 20 students can be in this lab room, I cannot put 21 students. It's just against safety, against fire codes. It's just a huge no-no, and I will not do it. For lectures, absolutely, I can always find a way to squeeze in students, but labs is a heavy no. So if you can't get into those closed class override, like closed class labs, I recommend just being patient because an opening might become available and then you could register. But if an opening never becomes available, unfortunately, you'll have to find a different section. And then lastly, if you have an academic hold, I am not the person that helps with that. That would be COAST advising or science advising. They can help you with those holds. You will not be able to register until those holds have been removed. So I highly recommend reaching out to them now before registration starts, because once registration starts and you're dealing with all that, you might be missing out on your desired sections. If you decide to change your major for any reason, you will be required to meet with a science advising advisor. If you go to our Canvas site, so the Chem and Biochemistry Advising Canvas site, click on resources. In resources, I have a link for how you can change your major, how you can change your minor, and other important links. So you have to fill out a form, and then they'll ask you to meet with them. And then, of course, once you fill out the form and met with them, they will fix your degree audit. If you want to change your minor, you do not need to meet with them, but it's a similar form and it can be found clicking on the link right here or going to chemistry resources. Find a mentor for undergraduate research. So like I said earlier, it's never too early to think about undergraduate research. And my biggest piece of advice, at least I would have told myself when I was in y'all's shoes, is think about things that interest you. Don't just join a research lab because there are openings or because, a friend's working in that lab. You really want to pick things that interest you. So even if you are a chemistry major, you can definitely do research in the biochemistry labs and vice versa. You can even do research in biology labs or other sciences. If you like engineering, look into those research labs. So be picky. And then when you want to think about a mentor, look under the research faculty. There's always a link on the chemistry and biochemistry website with a giant list of faculty profiles and which ones are doing research. See what your interests are. And then when you've isolated maybe your top 5, email them and then find a time where you can go meet with them and talk about your interests and their interests and see if you can join their research lab. If you decide to do an ACS attribution on your degree plan, you can actually get course credit for undergraduate research. So even now, if you decided to do it, you can get that course credit. So that's only for ACS attributes on the degree plans. Yeah, great way to get some experience for graduate school or medical school or whatever your interests are post-graduation. Even if you decide not to go to graduate school and you want to go into research, you can still get some valid experience. If you want to do research outside of Texas State, there are a lot of opportunities that are paid. So if you download the Handshake app, there are companies in San Marcos that are frequently hiring our Texas State students. And you get paid for doing that research. And Star Park is right here in San Marcos, and you're not really having to drive very far if you want to get paid to do close by research. And they work directly with our university. If you would like to do research at a different university, explicitly over the summer, there are universities having programs that are called REUs, Research Experience for Undergraduates. They pay students up to $6,000. They'll typically pay for the travel for a student to get there. They'll pay for room and board. So like you're not staying under your pocket, they're paying for you to stay there. And sometimes they'll even give you a food stipend for, your meals. And so that's going to be over the summers. And that deadline is going to be, if you want to do an REU at a United States institution, that deadline's in February and March. And if you're interested in doing an international REU, like doing it out of the country, that deadline is going to be usually in December. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. I am the Texas State REU coordinator, so I have a lot of information about this, and I am obviously very knowledgeable about it, and I'm willing and wanting to help you get these internships, especially because I believe you should be paid to do your research. If you are a new student, we have a lot of wonderful student organizations. These are great ways for students to network and find a community in their desired paths, career paths, and with interests, shared interests. So we have an ACS student group, we have a pre-pharmacy society, a lot of different options for you. So I highly recommend joining one of these student groups, just so you can help networking, and then like going to different conferences and things like that. If you're interested in that, please reach out to me and I'll find you their coordinator. I just want to point out some articles from our research faculty. If you are interested in doing more biochemistry, Dr. Karen Lewis is a wonderful research mentor. I will point out she will not be back until fall of 2025, but you are welcome to email her about interest in working in our group. Dr. Chris Rhodes, he is a chemistry researcher. He does a lot of battery research. So his course is accepting students now. Hudnall, he's no longer with us, but he's at Baylor. So if you do an RU at Baylor, you can definitely work with Dr. Hudnall. Korenko, he is chemistry. So if you're interested in doing his research, he has a lot of publications. He's excellent. So he does a lot of anti-cancer stuff. Dr. Kerwin also does some cancer research. He's in biochemistry explicit. He's wonderful to work with, so you can reach out to him. Dr. Shui, he does some DNA replication. He is also biochemistry specific, so please reach out to him if you're interested. And then, of course, if you're interested, we have this organization called Nabucco. This is a company that was created by Texas State undergraduate students, and it's actually doing quite well. Dr. Holland, a previous professor of ours, is a big into the VP for them. And Dr. Gary Bial, they run this company but it was started with Texas State students. So if you're looking for a job post graduation or even now, I highly recommend reaching out to them because they were created in our department and they're doing an excellent job. Okay. If you have any questions, please either put them in the chat or, unmute yourself and ask them, but I'm here to answer any questions you might have. Awesome. All right. Thank you.